Okay.
Thank you for joining a Pneuma conversation, a raw, authentic, and unfiltered conversation with spiritual teachers, leaders, coaches, healers, and my favorite, seekers. Get to know who we truly are beyond the polished world of interviews, social media, and podcasts. We are human, and we
We are.
struggle too. Join us in real conversations that heal, transform, and inspire, because these are the conversations that remind us what it means to be alive. Today, we're in conversation with Steve Dean. Steve, it's such a pleasure. Thank you for joining the conversation.
It's such a pleasure to be here, Chad. Such a pleasure. I'm glad you asked me. It shows you've been watching my TikTok videos, which I've been on I've been on TikTok, must be 4 or 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Beautiful.
originally started off teaching on Facebook. That was, God, dear, 20.
Yeah.
First video was on January the 12th, 2015. Up
Okay.
until then, I just made because I was introduced to the course in 2010 by Claire Fisher, who was a very dear friend of
Yeah.
mine. And she used to talk about this stuff. Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning.
No,
Like,
you're fine.
yeah, when all my life, I've always been one who
Yes.
questions. I've always been one who questions. I don't
Okay.
accept the standard narrative about hardly anything. I remember being at school and they'll teach me about evolution. I'm thinking this is nonsense. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is just. I was about 12. And I think, this don't sound right to me. Monkeys turning into men. What?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't. It sounds more like adaptation to me. Anyway, I sort of like I've always pulled apart stuff that's supposed to be.
Sure.
And unfortunately, my parents were not, they weren't atheists, but they weren't, um, they did believe in God, but they didn't believe in going to church or anything like that. Wasn't brought up to go to church. They never talked about God or anything like that. There was no religion in my early life. Not because they were anti-religious, because they just didn't bother with it. It wasn't till I got married to my first wife, who was a Catholic, that I actually
Okay.
got into it because she wanted to get married in church, being a Catholic, and I having no religion. I said, yeah, all right, okay. So, but I had to become a Catholic. I had to be baptized to marry her in the church. And I got into it. Here I am in church, and I thought, this is great. I even singing in the choir and everything. And then after a while, I thought, well, there's something wrong here. I thought, what? This God who loves us dearly,
Hmm.
but he'll happily chuck us into a lake of fire if we don't live up to his very exacting standards. Well, that doesn't sound very loving to me. There's
Right.
something wrong
Right.
here. There's something not right. This isn't the God I'm looking for. I mean, the people in the church themselves, the congregation, they're lovely people,
Yes.
and there's nothing wrong with the religion. It really helps and inspires so many people. But for me, I was thinking, I can't follow it this way. I've got to find something that, being of a logical mind, I've got to follow something that makes sense to me. And many
Okay.
years later, when I had met this woman, Kea, and travelled with her,
Mhm.
she used to talk about things, and I thought, I'd never heard the idea of separation. I never heard of the idea of sort of like uh,
Mhm.
all being one in spirit, and it fascinated me. I said, "Where are you getting this info from?" She said, "It's just try have a look at this." And I started reading it, and only after a few paragraphs, I knew not only did I have to learn it wholly, but I had to teach it. And at the
Okay.
time, I was in Australia, living on a farm, and every day I'd do my work in the morning, and I'd be all afternoon walking around in the bush, just going over and over it in my head. That was my 40 days in the wilderness, more or less, just going
Yeah.
over and
Okay.
over it until I could explain it. And I thought, well, now I need some kind of platform. And by that time, my new girlfriend, who's now my wife,
Mhm.
suggested, why don't you make videos?
Okay.
Oh, okay, because I've got an acting background. I used to be an actor in
Oh,
England
okay.
years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and I played in groups for years. I'm used to standing on stages and things like that, so it wasn't much of a problem to make some videos. But how to begin? How to
Yeah. Yeah.
begin?
It did. It did.
So I just
Well,
started.
I
I was
love.
just.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I interrupt at your
No,
leisure. That's okay with me.
it's okay.
I started
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
them just. But I found out once I understood the metaphysics of it. This is it. See, once I was
Mm.
studying A Course in Miracles, it made sense.
Yes.
It made once you got around the metaphysics and understood what he's actually saying, like we're all
Mhm.
one, and the world
Yes.
is just a projection of the mind, and it started to make sense. I mean, it took me a while for it to sink in, like the bits like you don't have a past. And finally, I'm like, okay, I don't have a past. But yeah, but if you don't have a past, then nobody's anyone else. Neither does anyone else.
Yes. Yeah.
You got to grab that. You got to stop. If you got to accept you don't have a past, so you can forgive yourself. I don't have a past. I haven't done anything really. I've just been dreaming. Well, then everybody else has just been dreaming as well, and you have to accept that
Yes.
and accept them as they are. That's what it says in the course read. Accept people as they are. Don't try
Yes.
and impress your mind onto them,
Yes.
because our world for each of us is what we decide it is. We're all
Mm.
here observing. We're all on a stage using the same props and looking at the same scenery, but we're all writing our own screenplay. We're all deciding as events happen around us. Well, that's happening because of this, it's happening because of that. I like him, I don't like him. I like that, I don't like that very much. And this picture begins to form around you of likes and dislikes and wants and not wants and this, that. And that becomes your world.
Yeah.
And you're carrying this world around with you and bumping into people who've got their world that they bump into you. But the only thing that's really here, using your hands and looking out of your eyes and talking through your mouth, is you. You're the only one in your world. You are the supreme being. Just
Yeah.
as like you've got someone playing a computer game, no matter who all the adversaries are and all the people he's fighting in this computer game, they're not really there. The only person who's there is him playing the game. The rest is just concocted by the illusion of the game. It's just the same as this is all concocted by the illusion of the ego. I'm getting into this now.
Yeah, you are. I
once
love it.
the this world was over a long time ago. I'm playing the part of Stephen Dean. My life was over with millennia ago, same as everyone else's. Outside this existence, there's no time. In oneness, there can't be any time. Wholeness, you see, space. In order for the idea of separation to come about in opposition to what God is, you have to. Space is a device to demonstrate that everything is separate. That's all it is. There's no big mystery about it, really. If you want to say everything's separate and separated into perfect opposites at that, you've got to have the space to show that they're opposite. And this comes with a byproduct, time, because it needs time to cross this space in any degree. Even the electrons whizzing around the neutron in the atom inside all of us, all the atoms, it's all made up stuff in consistent movement. Nothing stays still in opposition to the stillness of oneness of God.
Yes.
There is no time there because there's no space. Everything is one. There's no beginnings, there's no endings. Everything is just as. And that's why we can't imagine it, because the machine we're sitting in, the biological machine, is all geared to understanding this world.
Yeah.
Try to understand oneness using the machinery of what we've got here, like the onboard computer and this, that, and the other. It just can't figure it out. But what you can figure out, as Nisargadatta says, I'm just going over to this. This is Indian Masters, because I follow them as well, because I like to compare the notes with A Course of Miracles.
Sure.
He's this again. I forgot what to say now. Sometimes I'll go up rows and realise I've got so much going on. I forgot what to say.
Yeah.
The I am. That's it. He asked. People have asked Nisargadatta, an awakened Indian master, how you woke up, and he said, "Well, it's quite easy. I asked my guru how do I wake up, and he said, you're the supreme being. You are, and just tell yourself, I am. You don't even have to say supreme being, because you are. You are. God is. You are. I am. And if you just keep on that I am, just remembering that I am all. I am the isness of God. I am the amness, as is God's isness. If you could keep on that, it took him 3 years for that to suddenly grasp what he was actually telling himself, that I am all that is. The trouble with the world, it tries to make you think you're not worthy. The ego tries to bat you down all the time.
Yeah.
When I realised that the Course of Miracles telling me I'm equal to Jesus, I thought, I can't be equal to Jesus.
Right.
Me?
It's a mind blown when you read that, but also it's not contradicting the Bible in any way when it says that.
It's not. It's not. I mean, Jesus has always said you can do this too, but it's the church.
Yes.
It's the church, being a product of separation, has placed him on a pedestal that we have to worship him. He's a God. Of course, we're all aspects of God, but we aren't told that. We're told that he is
Yes.
the aspect of God, therefore separating him from us, and that is the trick. He's separate. You worshiping, you died for our sins and all this, and I feel guilty. And no.
Yeah.
That's not it at all. The church wants you to
Yes.
feel guilty. They want you to feel guilty because it's the nature of the world. I mean, God is pure unconditional love. Here,
Yeah.
it's pure unconditional fear. If you let it, it keeps trying to scare you all the time with like earthquakes and
Mhm.
volcanoes, wars, murderers. The newspapers reporting non-stop about negative stuff to try and bring you down away from the love that actually God is. What
Yeah.
Jesus taught
Yeah.
was really simple. God
Mhm.
is absolutely unconditional love, and the closer to loving you are, the closer you are to Him. You get
Yes.
negative, you move away from Him. You get positive,
Mhm.
loving, you move towards Him. It's really simple, and that's all He taught, really.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it all got blown out of proportion as usual. And
Yeah.
even with a Course of Miracles, it says in it somewhere like, try and keep to what it says in this book, because like the Bible, interpretations of it will start flooding all over the place. You'll end up with something like Chinese whispers, where it isn't saying what it was meant to say at all.
Yeah.
You know.
Steve, if we could just take a moment. I love your enthusiasm. I love talking about A Course in Miracles.
Yeah, yeah,
But
speak. Otherwise,
but
I'll speak all
our
the time.
audience
Say
doesn't,
something.
yeah, our audience doesn't know who you are. So if you could just take a moment, who is Steve? Where are you from? You've talked a little bit about your childhood. You questioned things, which is awesome. But yeah, let's just back up for a moment. Who is this wonderful Steve that I'm getting to know on TikTok and our
What?
little
What?
conversation we've had so far?
Well, I was born. Well, we start at the beginning. I was born in Romford in Essex in London.
Okay.
Well, in England. Well,
Yeah.
Romford's now in London. It was in Essex at the time. I was born there. I was
Okay.
born at 9:30 in the morning on the 19th of August, 1955, which adds up to 11. And my name adds up to 11. And the number 11 features through my life all the time for some reason.
Oh,
Like I married my
wow.
second wife 11 years after my first wife died. It's always been foremost in my life. And I didn't realise this until I got into numerology. Well, I've never been wholly into numerology, but I've heard some
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
practices, and that made sense that I should have 11 in my life a lot because it's in
Is
my
is
name and
11
birthday.
your life path number?
Do you know, I'm not sure about that.
It's my life path number.
Is it?
11
Well, it
is
was
my, yes, and 9 is my soul surge number. So the fact that you're saying these numbers today is not a coincidence. This is
wow.
wow.
Well,
Wow.
yeah, I just thought I'd add that, and also things like
Yeah.
it's things in life that make you think it is a bit of a game. Like, the church,
Yeah.
sorry, the hospital I
No,
was
you're
born
fine.
in, the hospital I was born in was called Old Church Hospital, the
Oh
Old
my.
Church. My
Yeah, okay.
surname is Dean, which is a
Yeah.
which is a term for a headmaster of a religious
Yes.
academy.
Yep. Yep.
You see, and felt, I've always been like to impart knowledge. I've always liked to impart knowledge. It's sort of bored into me, and that's why I feel like what I'm doing now as a teacher is what I'm here to do. Anyway, my
Sure.
childhood, my parents weren't religious. They had their reasons. They did have their reason.
Okay.
They were pretty
Yeah.
valid reasons. Like, for instance, just briefly, my dad's dead. When dad's dead, dad's dad went off to war and never came back, and it broke his heart. And that sort of like didn't do his belief in God much. God, he thought like, well, it can't be a God wouldn't have let that happen. It destroyed his. He still talked about my God and stuff like that, but he had his reasons for not worshipping it. I mean, mum had hers and all, but I don't want to go on about his family stuff. But
Sure.
I
Yeah.
wasn't brought up to be religious. East Ham was
Okay.
a great place to grow up when I was a kid. I had lots and lots of friends. East Ham was as far east in London as you could go before you got into Essex, Barking in Essex. And it was still, when I was a child, still semi-rural. Like there was lots of old farms that were now deserted and lots of old green hills and things where as kids you could roam for miles. It's all gone now, it's all built on now. But I was
Okay.
lucky enough to grow up in a place like that where I could have a great childhood.
Sure.
But as I progressed through life, I started to wonder. I wonder about what I'm doing here, how I came to be
Mhm.
here, and I started trying to figure out how and what I was. And I
You're
should
going
talk to
into
my
my next question, so this is beautiful. Keep going.
well, well, I should talk about this to my wife, like, and I kept found
Yeah.
forming theories about what there must be an afterlife, and
Okay.
I concluded that it must be something to do with frequencies. Now,
Mm.
because this is my at the time, my conclusion at the time,
Sure.
because if the bad people go to hell and the good people go to heaven, there must be something that brings that about. If good people have a higher frequency than the bad people, then the afterlife must be like a giant radio with different stations, because a radio show can only pick up the frequency that that radio show demands, like BBC One, BBC Two, or FM, AM, or whatever. They can only pick up that frequency for that station. They cannot pick up any other
Mm.
frequency except that station's frequency. And I was thinking, like, the afterlife is somehow can be related to a giant radio, whereas the good people go to this
Yeah.
frequency and therefore only meet good people, which you explain why it's so wonderful, because you only meet the people like you. Or the bad people go to a very deep, very low frequency where they meet everybody who's like them. And if they're not very
Yeah.
pleasant characters, they don't like to be surrounded, and it's going to be pretty hellish, you know.
Yes.
But but that turns out, I mean, when I got into the course, like a bit later on, I found out that it's not, that's to do with what I'd figured out
Mm.
was that, anyway, before I go too far ahead, my wife,
Yeah.
just before she knew she'd got cancer,
Okay.
and she used to sit and listen to me rambling on about, I think, my theories. And then one day she put a book down and said, "Now tell me what's going to happen to me when I die."
Mm.
I said, "You're a lovely person." I said, "So you'll go where lovely people go because of the frequency and this, that, and the other." And she said, "Well, when I die, if I can, I'll come back and tell you if you're right or not." Well, I forgot all about that. And obviously, when she died, I sort of like, that was the last thing on my mind,
Okay.
was worrying about her coming back. And anyway, I went down
Sure.
to the funeral parlour and looked at her in her coffin, and her hair was falling out because of the chemotherapy, and she had this big lump on her neck, and she didn't look very good. And I
Oh.
said to people at the funeral parlour, I said, "We can't comb her hair because it pulls out." Oh, well, anyway, it's nice to see her. Anyway, when I got home, I sat down in my chair, looked across at what was her chair, and I said, "I've just been down to the funeral parlour." I said, "Bloody hell." I said, "I bet you look like an angel now." And suddenly
Mm.
she came out of the chair. Suddenly the chair
Oh,
filled with a kind
wow.
of, I, I couldn't see anything,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
became enveloped in a love so strong. I thought it was almost tangible, like I could pull lumps off it like cotton wool. I was
Sure.
surrounded
Sure.
in it, and I could hear her voice saying, "I love you." And I was stuck. I lost track of time. I was just stuck there in this ecstasy like that. And then she gradually left me and floated away. And I was like, "Come back, come back." But obviously she couldn't.
Mm.
But it left me. She'd come back. She didn't say, "Oh, you were right, you were wrong," or anything like that. She just said
Sure.
she loved
Sure.
me. But she'd come back from somewhere. And then I become
Sure.
absolutely determined to find out where she'd gone.
Oh,
And
wow.
when I went up all sorts of different up different alleys, I even went up conspiracy theories or facts, or what you want to call them, for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what you think about conspiracy theories or facts, whether they're right or wrong, they're not what you should be dwelling on if you want to spiritually escape from here, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I got the course, like when I was introduced to the course, I scrapped all that. I thought, I'm going to stop thinking about that stuff. It
Okay.
didn't took a while, a few year or two, for get that stuff out of my mind to concentrate fully. But that's what I did, and I realised the course was telling me that this world isn't real. It's
Mm.
an illusion of separation into perfect opposites, right? And it's so complex because it's complex in opposition to the simplicity of the wholeness of God, where we go. And also, on top of that, this isn't the only part of the dream. There's much more to this dream than just this. There's the delta, not the delta. What do they call it? The other one,
Yeah.
the
Astro.
astral.
Yes.
So what I discovered, the theory that I formed about the frequencies was actually referring to the astral, because that
Okay.
happens there. You get these near-death experiences, loads of videos of near-death experiences, and these people all say, "Oh, I went somewhere and I saw Jesus, or I saw me old granny, or I saw me my son, or somebody." They always see someone they know and a bright light,
Mhm.
and they get talked into coming back here. They get talked into coming back here, and they don't. They never ever want to. They never ever
Yeah.
want to. They all have to get persuaded to come back. And then they come back under some guise of this, that, and the other. There's theories that there's these entities call them the archons, who are in the astral, and they're the
Okay.
ones who persuade
Yeah.
you to come back, because they're not physical beings. They're actually comprised of a very low frequency, and they need our misery to survive. That's why they keep encouraging us to have wars and stuff like that, because they live off our misery. But then again, that's all part of the illusion. The idea is to
Sure.
get over that and realize that God is just perfect love, and realize that you're just dreaming. You still have to go along with the dream. You can't just ignore it. But it's like going to the cinema. Like, you can go and watch a really good film, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you can laugh, cry, get annoyed. You can even grieve over what's going on, but in your heart, you know it ain't real. And that's what
yeah.
awakening to the truth is here. That's what you
Mm,
know in your heart, that it's not real. I mean, some of the terrible things that go on, like it says in
yeah.
there, like in the hero of the dream section from the book, where the Holy Spirit says, "Come with me. If you come, you can come to me in tears, but I will, I will show you the truth, and me and you will laugh it all away." Well,
Yes.
you think,
Yes.
well, laugh it all away, okay, but this is where you really have to grasp the nature of the dream, because you think some of these things that appear to be going on, the evil that appears to be going on in the world, how can I laugh that away? This torturing of children, how can I laugh? No, no. What you're laughing at is the sheer absurdity of such a thing could even happen. This is
Yes.
it's a sheer absurd. What the? No, it's so
Yeah.
absurd as compared to the pure love of God that it's laughable. That's what it
Mm,
means. You're not laughing at the act. You know, the act is
yeah.
indescribably evil. But if you're going to allow an illusion, it is. But if you're going to lift out the illusion, you see it for the nonsense it truly is. It's absurd. That could never happen. Love
Yes.
would
Yeah.
never allow that to happen. That's just
Yeah.
absurd. But getting to that stage is the key. You see,
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. So,
you
Steve,
know.
you like me. You love the entire book, cover to
Oh,
cover.
oh yeah.
Is there one part that stands out to you the most that just grabs you and you go to it every single day, or you did at the very beginning of the early days? But is there a part that just you love the most? I just
Yes.
feel drawn to ask you that. Okay,
Yes, and I got there's a chapter in the text called "The Hero of the Dream,"
the
and
one
it
you
is
just said.
actually,
Okay,
yeah,
yes,
the hero of the dream, and I read
the
that
hero of the
twice a
dream.
week. I read it twice a week, and I have done for years because
Okay,
it encapsulates the whole message of the course in
yes.
that, and it's in that one where he talks about laughing at it and stuff like that. I
Do you know
just
what
love
page
that.
that is? Do you know what page that is
Um,
offhand?
right, see if I can find it. Uh, Right, because this is the one that doesn't have the. Hang on.
Okay. It's not one of the lessons, is it?
Uh, it's not a lesson. It's just
It's part of the text.
that's part of the text.
Yes.
I tried
See if I can find it in my index. A hero's dream, because this
the
is
hero,
important.
the hero of the dream.
The hero of the dream.
Yeah, I
Yes.
should have. I would have put a paper.
The
Oh yeah, it's on
he-
chapter 27, page 543 in this book. Anyway,
five
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 four
four.
three in this one in this version, chapter
Okay.
27, the healing of the dream, and it's the hero of the dream.
27.
Yeah, chapter
27.
27,
Okay. Yeah,
20.
my pages are a little different. Okay.
Yeah, oh, this
20.
is an old book. I mean, my other one's falling to bits. I mean, probably, but if you go to chapter 27, it's part hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8. I think it's part 8 of chapter
Part
27, The
8.
Hero of the Dream.
Just audience, just bear with us just for 1 second because I feel like there's something we need to pull out here.
Yeah,
Um, the hero of the dream. Yes.
yeah.
Yes. That is a big I love this section. That is a big section.
It is. In fact, to be honest with you, when I was reading one of Gary Renard's books, and
Oh yes.
one of the ascending masters in there said to Gary,
Mhm.
read I think it's once a month, read the Hero of a Dream once a month, like, just
Okay.
to remind yourself. Well, I thought that's a good idea. And I started off reading it once a week and I enjoyed it so much. I started reading it twice a week and I've been stuck on twice a week for a very long time. It's just, I find it so uplifting. And
Yes, it
it's like I
is.
say, and it encapsulates
Yeah.
the whole message.
Yeah. For those
Yeah.
of you who have the version I do, I don't know if I have the all the volumes in one. And so we're talking on my in my book it'd be 585.
Ah, okay.
For
That's
those
you've actually got the book that I've got that fell to bits. What I've
yes,
got here,
which is mine is
if I
too.
pick it up, it'll fall to bits.
That's right. That's
Incidentally,
right.
talking about the lessons. We
Yeah.
was discussing something the other day on that on my awareness of dreaming show with Leon Russell and Lewis, And he, I don't know, I keep losing my drift here.
That's
Oh God. No, so
I
just
was.
lately, I'll get memory lapses just lately. I don't know if I'm getting older, what it is like, you know. But
It's okay. It's
yeah,
okay. If it was shorter, I would ask you to read it, but it's a bit too long for our purposes at the moment. But it's a beautiful section,
it
the
absolutely is.
hero of the dream, and I'm going to
I,
read that again later.
yeah, read
Uh,
it. It really
yes,
is, and I just keep going back to it because it, like I say,
yes,
encapsulates the whole message. I didn't come in here to sort of to really um, promote my book, but I want to talk about it because
of
the reason
course.
why the reason why I wrote this book, which really simplifies the metaphysics of it, is because I came across the course when I was traveling, right? And when I was traveling, I met a lot of people, and a lot of them, because I'm sort of like spiritually minded, you tend to, what I project out of me, I tend to meet a lot of spiritual people because I'm spiritual. Like the world around you is a projection of what you are once you realise it. And I just kept meeting these spiritual people who had a Course of Miracles on their shelf, but they hadn't
Okay.
bothered reading it. They got it,
Yes, I find
flicked
this
through
too.
it,
Yes, yes,
decided it was too convoluted, which it can be, you know,
yes,
and then just
yeah.
put it on the shelf and forgot about it. And I realised you've I was devoted to it and I was going to understand it come what may. You know what I mean? It took me 5 months, I think, to read the text. And then I started on the lessons, and I started on the manual. And after that, I began teaching it myself with videos. I've been posting videos every day for 11 years,
Oh
you
wow.
know.
Okay.
Anyway, so I thought, well, the main problem with it is that people aren't getting it. They're not understanding the metaphysics of it. So I wrote this book, Truth Connections, an understanding of A Course in Miracles, outlining what the metaphysics of it is. And if you don't mind, if I could
Yes,
just
go
read
ahead.
the summary of its contents, it's not that long, but it tells you what's actually in the book. Okay. It is my understanding that when we die, the body goes back to nature as they are both part of the material illusion. We ourselves are of a spiritual nature and return home on our being reabsorbed back into the oneness of the source from which we originated. Our brains are not actually us at all. They are utilized by the spirit in much the same way that we use our computers. The computer isn't actually part of us, but it enables us to communicate. Our bodies, in turn, are not actually part of us, but are needed to navigate through the illusory notion of everything being separated into countless beings, objects, and elements that we are currently inhabiting and mistakenly believing to be real. We are born out of the illusion, not into, think about it, with no guidance whatsoever beyond those who are already trapped within it, mistaking it for reality, and the one and only reality there is an easy thing to do. Not so easy to undo, but not by any means impossible. Our big problem is that back in the midst of long past time, we have somehow forgotten what we truly are. However, at long last, our reawakening to our true nature is now in motion and well underway. Bodies are not needed in the spiritual oneness of reality. By oneness, I mean simply that nothing is separated, all is whole, complete, eternal, infinite, unlimited, and unchanging. The perfect opposites of a perfect separation, beginnings and endings, good and evil, birth and death, day and night, left and right, up and down, black and white, etc., only exist here within this experience. Oneness being eternal has no beginnings or endings or opposites of any kind. No opposites equals no conflict. All is one and one is all. I know it's not an easy notion to grasp fully at first, but that's because the mainstream thinking of the world is so opposite to the truth, as one would expect in a world like this, a world of chaos, as opposed to reality's total peace. Spiritual and unseen, peace, joy, and happiness are enveloped within the oneness of the source. Perfect love is total truth currently beyond our understanding, is the only reality. Having said that, though, God, or the source's world of oneness, is detectable here, even though it is unseen. That of his world cannot be given away, whereas earthly things can. For example, if I give a person my hat, I no longer have a hat. In fact, if I give away anything from the material world, sorry, it is no longer in my possession. But if I give a person love, joy, and happiness, all extensions of the unseen oneness, I not only still have them myself, they are multiplied many times over. This is because in the unseen world of oneness, everything is one, and giving is the same as receiving, just as having is the same as being. in the world of reality, there's no lack at all. Our way out is forgiveness in the form of recognizing that we are all inhabiting what amounts to no more than a chaotic nightmare and understanding that nobody has actually done anything or committed any crime whatsoever. The truth really does set you free. A nightmare is only a nightmare until the dreamer awakens. And that's,
Wow.
and that is the summary of the contents of my book.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, it's got 88 chapters. You get it from Amazon or
Okay.
Barnes and Noble. It's not expensive. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever that if Amazon sells it, they send me about $4.50.
Okay.
Sometimes they sell it for 10, sometimes they sell it for 20, whatever they can get out of people, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I only I end up with $5, but
I'll
I'm not
make
in it for
sure
the
to
money.
include all that in the show notes so people can get a hold of it if they want to.
Oh, okay, that's very
So,
kind of you. That'd be
yep,
good.
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah,
So,
I've published that nearly 10 years ago. It sold a few. It,
okay,
it sells regularly, but not heavily. It's never
okay,
going to be a bestseller, but there you
sure.
go. So how did you get in A Course in Miracles? And it was me talking about myself. We were supposed to be having a conversation. There's me rattling away. So
It's
how did
well, I had just returned from the States in 2018 from Spain. I was living in Spain for 4 years.
Oh, all right, I used to live in Spain. Go on, yeah.
Okay. And I lived in Madrid and I hiked El Camino de Santiago. I've done that a total of 6 times now. I'm sure you're familiar with the El Camino. Um, but yeah, so I returned home, ended up in New York City of all places. A friend of
Right.
mine lived there and he said, "Hey, I go to an improv group, come with me." So I'm like, "All right, let's go." So well, then I ended up meeting people at that group who told me about Course in Miracles. They had not read, they've read bits and pieces and stuff, but it was like the second or third time I heard about it in my life. And I said, and my messages usually come in threes. And I'm like, all right, well, if this is coming a third time into my life, I need to read this book. I ordered it from the library and I fell in love with it immediately. I just knew I needed this book. And I was crying immediately. I was um, I told you before we started recording, I've already recorded with another Course in Miracles teacher, and I was telling him the same thing. I tell everyone this. I was I was experiencing some dry heaving moments in the toilet. My head in the toilet experience is what I call it. When I was coming face to face with my own illusions, my own crap, having to really look at my own behavior, I was literally throwing up in the toilet bowl.
Oh,
And but I was loving it because I wanted to be more loving, as we all do. But we think that we already think we are. And until we're willing to come face to face with the illusion that we're not, because we are not loving 100% of the time. But life presents us with choices and with experiences to show us we can be loving in this moment, and so we
yeah.
become more loving as we practice it and get better. And so this is what the course was showing me. And so yeah, that's how I came to the course. And then a couple months later, it was right before Christmas. So then a couple months later, a friend bought it for me and I just devoured it. I read the text and the lessons all in 1 year because I was so hungry for it. Now, that's
Yeah,
not
me too.
recommended. I don't recommend people doing that because it is a lot to digest. But if you're one of those people like us that can do it, then go ahead and do it because it was feeding my soul. And then when I felt a nudge to stop and digest, I would stop and digest because there were moments where I was like, okay, I got to put this down for a minute and let it, embody my body and everything else. But that's how I came to the course, and I've loved it ever since.
Yeah,
So I've read
I
it at
mean,
least 3 times now.
well, I just sort of dip into it now. I've read it when I got
Yeah,
it. I read it. I just kept reading it and reading it and reading it,
right.
and I found if I wanted a question, if there was an answer, like something occurred to me, well, what would it say about that? I opened the book, and it would open at the place where it explained to me what it
Yes,
is I wanted to know. And I'm
yes,
not the
it's
only one to have
amazing.
noticed this. I'm
Yes,
not the
yeah,
only one
yeah,
to have noticed this.
yeah. The
And there's
other
another.
thing,
Go on.
yeah, go ahead.
All I was going to say that
Yeah,
that bit in my introduction to my book where I talk about if I give away my hat, I no longer have a hat.
yeah,
That I got that from when I very first read the course. It
okay.
said something in about you can give away physical things, but you can't give away what belongs to God. So I just elaborated on that for that little video, like when I
Yes,
made that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll damn if I can find it again. When I read it again, I couldn't find that bit.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
And it must be in there somewhere. But the book is
Yeah.
so amazingly, well, they say it's written in a Shakespearean I can't, pentamatic or
Okay.
something like Shakespearean English.
Okay.
But I realised, I mean, I sort of tend to meander around a bit now, but the
Yeah.
reason why it's written in that is because for those who it's meant for, like yourself and myself, who are going to read it come, no matter what, you're going to get this until I know exactly what it's saying. That's why
Yeah.
it's like it. You
Yeah.
see, the world is just an illusion. If you could just explain it by saying, well, I'll tell you the truth, the world's a dream. The book would be just a pamphlet with saying the world is a dream in
Yes.
it. But no one would believe it. What the
Yeah.
course does, you read it until you begin to think, wait a minute, he's saying it's a dream. He's
Yeah.
saying it's a dream. And then you start
Yeah.
to consider the possibility, could it be a dream? It gradually moves you into that way of thinking. It slowly alters your way of thinking about things into the metaphysical rather than the physical. It's
Yes.
really
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
extraordinary. As a
It is.
work.
Yeah.
It's a work of
There
art.
was, it's interesting you say what you just said, because there was a phrase that I pulled out of while reading A Course in Miracles, and I've not been able to find it since. And that phrase was this: in those difficult moments, we have to surrender. And so the phrase I came up with, I surrender to love and to the Holy Spirit. And I swear to this day, I got that phrase from the Course, but I can't find it whatsoever. And
I,
it's not there at all.
I believe you.
So where did this
I,
come from?
I really don't know. But there's certainly something
Right?
mystical about it. There's
It
certainly
is.
something mystical about the whole
Yes.
thing. I can't say that for sure, obviously, but in my experience, there's something very
Yes.
mystical about that book and in other people's. It's an
Yes.
extraordinary piece of work, you
It
know.
is.
Did you
And I think,
you
like, yeah,
go
go
on?
ahead.
I was
No,
just
go
going to
ahead,
say,
please.
did you read any of Gary Renard's books? Because
I
when I
have not
first
read any of his stuff yet.
Well, what it was when I first got introduced to Course of Miracles, I was borrowing my friend's book and reading it, and she
Okay.
said to me, "I tell you what," she said, "before you get into it proper, read the Disappearance of the Universe first, because that'll give you some good outline of what it's actually saying."
Okay.
And I
Okay.
did, and
Hmm.
it does give you a clear idea of what's going on, But I knew before I even read that Disappearance of the Universe that I was going to learn it. But it is very
Yeah.
handy. There's some really good tips in it to understanding what the course is about. Same
Yes.
as in my book, it's all about tips to understanding what it is. My book's all about keeping it simple, and Gary Renard's books are similar because apparently, according to
Okay.
the dialogue in it, the ascending masters who he talks to, they realised after they channeled the book down to Ellen Schuckman, it was realised back in one this that it was too complex for a lot of people.
Yes.
They needed another guide to guide people towards it, right? And that was the
Yeah.
idea of Disappearance of the Universe, to turn people, like, give us something that's easy to read, as sort of like as a medium between yourself and the actual complexity of the book itself. And
Yeah.
they do work. They are good reads. But
Yeah. Yeah. I got into Marianne Williamson. And so I read her book, Return to Love, which also opened me up for A Course in Miracles.
oh,
Um, Absolutely love her work and what she does with that. But that was the teacher I was following, because the friends that got me introduced me to Course in Miracles were also followers of Marianne Williamson.
all right, yeah, you tend to follow the same, don't you? You follow the
You do.
recommendations. I
You
did.
do.
I was recommended. The person who introduced me to the book recommended I should have followed Gary Renard, and I
Okay.
did. But I read it once, and I've read it a couple of times over the years. But
Mhm.
it's the book. You
Yes.
really have to learn from the book. For me,
Yeah.
anyway. I can only speak for
Yeah.
myself.
I'm going to ask you this question because it's an important question, and a lot of people that get come across it, they always find something they want to nitpick about it, or something they don't like, because they don't like hearing that it takes a year to read. They don't like to hear that there are lessons. So, they go in negative already, which they're already behaving exactly the way the course is describing behavior. But the big thing that comes up that people want to argue about all the time is whether or not it was channeled by Jesus. And I say, I don't care, because whether it was channeled or not, it doesn't take away from the truth that's in the book. And if you want to argue about how it came to be, you're missing the point, because it's about my behavior. It's about my love. I'm just curious, what do you say about that when you hear people want to argue about that point?
Um, well, same as I thought when people speak saying Jesus didn't exist. This is aside from the
Okay.
Course in Miracles.
Okay.
Well, who said
Okay.
them words then? The Gospels. Someone
Yes.
said them Gospels, whether it was him or not. Someone said those words. Right, and if
Yes.
it wasn't Jesus, it was
Yes.
someone else. But
Sure.
it's not the Jesus angle, it's what he's saying. I mean, it's
Yes.
like this thing about Christ.
Absolutely.
Like his name, Christ. Christ wasn't his surname.
No.
I've said this loads of time in videos. Christ comes from the Greek Christos, meaning to
Yes.
consecrate. To consecrate means to make holy, and to make holy means to make you whole, holy with
Yes.
God. So Jesus Christ, he who was whole with God. That's all it meant. And what's returning? The return of the Messiah is not the return of.
Oops.
Oh, that's it.
One
That's come
second.
back
There
on
you
again.
go. Now you're
There I
back.
go. I knocked it off. So he,
Uh,
he comes back.
yes.
He can't come back in his body. His body's gone.
Yes.
I mean, the thing about him coming along riding on a cloud in his robes and his beard and his long, I mean, it's all fantastical. I mean, it's a nice idea. But even
Yes.
if he did, if he come riding along in the sky on a cloud like, I know it's all going to be all right, they'd probably just shoot him down knowing the way things you know what
Of
I mean?
course.
The way things are. It's the mindset that's returning. The knowledge is returning, not Jesus himself.
Yes.
It's the knowledge he had is returning, and it's returning through that book. And it says somewhere in that book, and I've read this once,
Okay.
I can't tell you where it is, that he says, of course, I am not really a person. I am of God. I'm not Jesus, the person. I'm not sitting here with long hair and that like
Yes.
I am. I am
Yes.
an energy. But the best way to put it across is to talk in the terms of the Bible, because that's how people understand Jesus.
Yes. Yep.
And
Yep.
if you want someone to channel it, you just say it's Jesus, because Jesus knows he's not. I mean, his body was left behind. That with the body that and mind that was Jesus doesn't exist anymore. What exists is the awareness that is Jesus. It's like as the book teaches. I mean, the brain projects the world around us. You know, it gives the picture. That's the picture we look at. The mind decides what's going on in it. In each individual minds, they decide what's going
Yep.
on in this world, whether you like it or not, whether you're having a great time or a bad time. And your awareness, the aspect of God that is truly you, is watching the whole movie.
Mhm.
And this is what Nessa Gadata in his book, I Am That, talks about wholly. I am just watching a movie. And these people come to see him saying, don't you get upset about what you see? He says, yeah, I'll get upset about what I see, but I know it's a movie. And he says
Mm.
that all through the book. And if you grasp that way of thinking, you can get upset and upset people getting hurt. But what you're getting upset about is that they don't know it's an illusion. You might know it,
Okay.
but they don't. And you've got to
Yeah.
sympathize with that. You can't just say, oh, you're dreaming. That's ridiculous. You have to sympathize, but
Yep.
know in your heart that it isn't real. And I think that's how Jesus worked. He
Okay.
knew that it wasn't real. And if people are suffering, he could lay hands on them and they look in his eyes and know that he knew, and then they would know. I can't
Mhm.
be ill. How can I be ill in a dream?
Yeah.
And such was their belief in his knowledge that it can't be happening. It would heal them in some way, or at least make them feel a lot better about it. I mean, all these
Mhm.
miracles and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of it can be put down to exaggeration over the years, but obviously there's no smoke without fire. Obviously, he was doing things that really impressed people, you
Mhm.
know. And it's all about faith,
Yes.
knowing, understanding. You know, like when I first, like you said earlier, about people say complain about the book, how long it takes to learn it. When I first got the book, I was reading things like it took some people 20 years to learn it, 10 years to understand
Yeah.
it. And I
Yeah.
think I can't take that long, surely. But here I am 15 years later, still teaching it, still talking about it,
Yes.
still loving it.
Yeah.
You know, it's once it's in your system, it's there for good.
Oh, it is. It is. And I also have learned and have been experiencing in my own life that until I am living them in a certain situation, that situation will repeat itself until I'm living A Course in Miracles
Yeah.
in that situation, and then I'm released from that. So it's a beautiful process. What happens when you adapt the book to your life?
It does
Yeah.
because as you become more loving, you
Yes.
project it, and you're
Yeah.
subconsciously, obviously, but it's projected back at you, and a feeling of contentment and love. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you go and stand in a forest, like, and every people who stand in forests and look at, they feel this great contentment. It's the contentment of being inside a lot of entities who do nothing except be. Trees and
Mhm.
plants just be. That's
Yes.
why people standing in forests and all that pick up on this beingness. Like, then people sit in the forest and meditate because they're picking
Yeah.
up, they're sitting amongst beings that just be. They don't think, not as
Yeah.
far as we know anyway. When they do, it will be in the same terms as we do.
Yeah.
But it's just becoming part of that stillness, stillness as opposed to motion,
Yes.
love as opposed to
Yes.
hate, fear. It takes a
Yeah.
while to adapt to that. Living in a world like this, like, you just, it's, Course in Miracles is like throwing a lifeline. It really is. There's
Mm.
a way out of this, and
Yes.
the best possible
Yes.
way, and to know that there's no hell. I mean, there might be
Yes.
for some on the short term, there might be some going there, like some of these near-death experiences. There was one, there's some
Mm.
bank manager who was a pretty nasty kind of person. He admitted I wasn't a very
Oh
nice
wow.
person. And he went to a kind of hell where he was being sexually assaulted by zombies,
Oh
and he was
wow.
so, well, this is what he said. And he was so
Yes, sure,
upset
of course.
about it, and he couldn't. And they all marched off these zombies, and he was crying in his hell in despair. And he wasn't a God fearing man, but he cried out to God, help me. And he said, then Jesus appeared
Yeah.
and took me away from all this and said, look,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if you want to avoid all this stuff, then you got to sort yourself out. And
Yeah.
when he woke up from his near death experience, he became a pastor, totally changed him, totally
Oh
utterly
wow.
changed him.
Okay.
But that was that near death experience. But the point I'm making is he, by his own admittance, wasn't a very nice person. And he went somewhere where it wasn't very nice to be. But he wasn't actually really in any afterlife. He's still in the dream. Because if you go
Mm.
somewhere, any afterlife where you're still separated, then it's a dream. It's a dream of separation. If it's not oneness there, then you're not there.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
you,
Yep.
you
Yep.
have to
It
get,
it re it
go on.
reminds me of what's going on right now on TikTok with this whole group 7 stuff. Groups, you got to be part of group 7, and we're going to apply some spiritual terminology to it just to prove how special group 7 is. And group 7 is not teaching oneness. Spirit teaches oneness. Group 7 is teaching exclusion.
Who's
And it's
group
like,
seven?
are you I just learned about it recently too. It's a whole thing that people were, I forget how it got started, but apparently the creator of TikTok divided things up into 7 different groups or 9. I don't know exactly how much what it is, but anyway, people have jumped onto this group 7 thing on TikTok. And they're turning it into this whole spiritual thing. But there it's only for certain selective people. Spirit doesn't act that way. Spirit doesn't know roles or hierarchy or exclusion. Spirit includes. Spirit will say we're all part of group 7, not just a certain group of people. And so what you're saying is exactly what's going
Yeah.
on right now, is that we are all one, period. We're not divided up into groups. We do that. The ego does that for attention, for glory, for to be seen. And when we are one, we don't need to be seen.
Well, in this world of perfect opposites, there's got to be a seen opposing there's got to be an unseen opposing the seen. You know.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of stuff like magnetism. You can't see how magnets work, but we can walk straight through a magnetic field that can pick up a ton of bloody metal, but we don't feel it. But it's there,
Right.
you
Yes.
know. And there's all these unseen powers. They're everywhere.
Yep. Yep. Steve, I wanted to
The
ask you. I mean, we're getting close to the end here, but there was another question I wanted to ask you, because we've thrown the word out a lot. It's spiritual. What does it mean to be spiritual? What does that mean to
to,
you?
it means to understand what you truly are within. By spirit, I
Mm,
know that I am truly a spirit. I am actually one with everybody. You are my brother in that you are me.
yes.
In that
Yes.
I am one with God. I'm an aspect of God. You're an aspect of God looking out at me. You're looking out through your eyes within your spirituality, and I'm looking out through mine. And what I'm seeing is a screen with you on it, but behind your eyes is the spirituality you really are.
Yes.
And that's what I'm actually seeing, your spirituality. That's what we're there. The oneness. If you can see that oneness and the wholeness with everybody around you, then you're on the right track.
Yeah.
That spirituality is knowing that we're all one in spirit and living by that maxim.
Yeah.
You know,
Beautiful. Beautiful. Steve, what's your biggest struggle?
my biggest struggle. Well, I tell you something. I mean, I'm really happy and content with my life. You know, once
Okay.
I travelled for 11 years, and then I met my wife, my now wife, and now I live a quiet, content life. Um, my biggest struggle, I don't know. I'd like to be. No, I'm fine. My biggest struggle. And no, you know, I have to think about that. My biggest. I mean, I'm retired now. My biggest struggle is trying to get up enthusiasm about the world. That's not. I'm not tired of living. But I'm
Yeah.
beginning to experience a lot of been there, done that. You know, I
Cool.
played in bands for years, guitarist, bass
Okay.
player, and all that. And now I don't want to do it. I can't be bothered to pick the guitar up. It's like I've already done that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't things I used to enjoy doing. I don't do them anymore. I thought put it down to sort of
Okay.
like being old. But apparently, but since then I've heard people talking about this is the end of times. This is the
Yeah.
end of the old times, and you're leaving behind what was interesting to you then as you move into the new dimension, which I believe that is. There's a hell of a lot of talk going on about this 5D, which I think is another
Mm.
way of looking at waking up. That is one way of looking at waking up as the course describes. But
Mm.
there's lots of people who aren't course followers who are the same idea. The amount of videos that are coming out now talking about understanding the spiritual wholeness of everybody. There's definitely
Hmm.
something on the move. And I
Yes.
think my struggle to sort of like maintain an interest in what once was is a sign of me that old ways falling away from me. Because I'm certainly happy and I'm certainly content. You know, I mean, God has really pays good wages as far as I'm concerned. Because ever since I've been teaching him for the past 11 years, I've been looked after and I know it and I'm so grateful.
Yep.
You know, I know it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful. Beautiful. Steve, you've seen the show before, and so we end the show together in the breath. And are you willing to do that with us
Yeah,
as
yeah,
we
yeah.
close out? Okay. So we'll just take a moment, and the audience knows what we do, and we'll just take a moment and just be together in the breath for a moment, and then I'll bring us back around. Okay.
Okay.
And as we open our eyes and come back together, may we
That was
not
nice, that.
only bring may we not only bring the stillness with us, but may we also remember that we are all remembered, we are all loved, and we all belong.
Oh, man.
Steve, this has been wonderful.
Really great, my friend. I wish I'd let you talk a bit more. Once I start rattling, I tend to go flying off, but maybe
Not a
another time.
problem. Yep.
Okay.
This this has been a Pneuma conversation. Thank you for sharing in the breath. Together, we've remembered a little more of what it means to be human. Until next
Great, great
time,
pleasure.
breathe.
Cheers, mate. I'll see you. Bye.